The truth about the civil rights movement. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, declared Martin Luther King Jr., a sentiment that transcends time and continues to resonate. His words echo the struggle and hope that defined the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement marked a transformative period in American history, a time when courage and resilience overcame systemic oppression. It was a fight for equality, justice, and the fundamental human rights denied to African Americans. Before the movement, segregation laws and societal norms entrenched racial inequality. African Americans faced pervasive discrimination in education, employment, and public spaces. These conditions created a stark divide, relegating Black citizens to second-class status. Martin Luther King Jr. emerged as a key figure, advocating for nonviolent resistance. Inspired by Mahatma Gandhi, King's philosophy emphasized peaceful protest as a powerful tool for social change, galvanizing a movement rooted in love and justice. Rosa Parks' courageous act of defiance on a Montgomery bus sparked a revolution. Refusing to give up her seat to a white passenger, Parks ignited the Montgomery bus boycott, a pivotal moment that galvanized the civil rights movement. The Montgomery bus boycott began in 1955 after Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white man. Her arrest sparked a year-long boycott of the bus system by the Black community, demanding desegregation. The boycott, led by Martin Luther King Jr., gained national attention and successfully pressured the bus company and city officials. It resulted in a Supreme Court ruling that segregation on public buses was unconstitutional. The success of the boycott led to the formation of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. This organization, led by King and other ministers, aimed to use nonviolent resistance to combat racial segregation and injustice across the South. The Greensboro sit-ins in 1960 saw 4 Black students peacefully sitting at a whites-only lunch counter. Their brave act of defiance inspired similar sit-ins across the country, bringing attention to the fight against segregation in public spaces. The Freedom Riders, a group of interracial activists, rode buses into the segregated South in 1961. Facing violent resistance, their courage highlighted the federal government's failure to enforce desegregation laws, prompting nationwide outrage and legislative action. The Children's Crusade, a pivotal moment in the civil rights movement, saw thousands of young African Americans march in Birmingham, Alabama. Their bravery in the face of police brutality captured national attention and shifted public opinion toward ending segregation. The March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom brought over 250,000 people to the nation's capital. This massive demonstration showcased the unity and determination of the civil rights movement, culminating in the iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. Martin Luther King Jr. "I Have a Dream" speech resonated deeply with its vision of racial equality and justice. Delivered at the Lincoln Memorial, it became a defining moment, inspiring millions and solidifying King's role as a moral leader. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a landmark legislation that outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. Its passage marked a significant victory, dismantling institutional segregation and opening doors to greater equality. Freedom. Summer, a 1964 campaign, aimed to register African American voters in Mississippi. Volunteers faced violence and intimidation, but their efforts highlighted the urgent need for voting rights protection and laid the groundwork for future legislative changes. The Selma to Montgomery marches were pivotal in the civil rights movement, spotlighting the struggle for voting rights. The brutal events of Bloody Sunday shocked the nation and galvanized support for change, leading to significant legislative action. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 was a landmark achievement, ensuring federal oversight of voter registration and outlawing discriminatory practices. This legislation significantly expanded African American voting rights, fundamentally altering the political landscape in the United States. Malcolm X emerged as a powerful voice advocating for Black empowerment and self-defense. His rhetoric and philosophy contrasted with nonviolent approaches, highlighting the diversity of strategies within the civil rights movement and inspiring a new generation of activists. The rise of the Black Power movement marked a shift towards racial pride and self-determination. Encouraging African Americans to embrace their heritage and demand equality, the movement redefined the struggle for civil rights and broadened its goals. The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, played a crucial role in grassroots organizing. Comprising mostly young activists, SNCC spearheaded voter registration drives, sit-ins, and freedom rides, significantly advancing the civil rights movement's objectives through direct action. The NAACP played a crucial role in the civil rights movement by challenging segregation through legal battles. Landmark victories like Brown v. Board of Education helped dismantle institutionalized racism and provided a foundation for future progress. Medgar Evers was a prominent NAACP leader who fought tirelessly for civil rights. His assassination in 1963 shocked the nation and galvanized support for the movement, highlighting the dangerous stakes involved in the struggle for equality. The 24th Amendment, ratified in 1964, abolished poll taxes in federal elections. This significant achievement removed a substantial barrier to voting for African Americans, furthering the cause of democratic participation and civil rights. Civil disobedience was a cornerstone of the movement, with activists employing nonviolent resistance to challenge unjust laws. These acts of defiance drew public attention to the moral imperative of ending segregation and discrimination. Media coverage played a pivotal role in shaping public opinion during the civil rights movement. Images of brutality against peaceful protesters highlighted the urgent need for change, pressuring policymakers to enact civil rights legislation. The federal government's response to the civil rights movement was significant, marked by interventions like sending troops to enforce desegregation and passing landmark legislation. These actions demonstrated a commitment to upholding constitutional rights and combating systemic racism. The civil rights movement's push for economic justice sought to address racial disparities in employment, wages, and housing. Achieving economic equality was seen as essential for true freedom, aiming to dismantle the structural barriers that perpetuated poverty. The movement's legacy is profound, inspiring future generations to continue advocating for justice. Its successes reshaped American society, fostering greater inclusion and equality, while serving as a powerful reminder of the impact of collective action. Modern social justice movements draw inspiration from the civil rights movement's strategies and victories. Issues like police brutality, voter suppression, and economic inequality are tackled with the same spirit of resilience and demand for systemic change. We must honor the movement by staying informed, advocating for policy changes, and actively participating in efforts to combat inequality. The fight for justice continues, and everyone has a role in advancing civil rights and equity.